Okay, today is the evening of the 22nd of February 2022. I'm looking at GBTC, the ETF, which is Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And let's look at the analysis on this. I'm looking at the monthly chart at the moment. We have come down in the last 2 or 3 months, and we are into this major support here. We've got these two pivot lows, and thus far the price has held support. The actual low of this candle here in January matched the top of the body here. So the body extremities, or the ends of the bodies, both at the top and the bottom, form additional layers of support or resistance. So we are holding this support so far. Now, it's important to bear in mind that on the monthly chart, the 20 MA, which is the blue line here, is still pointing upwards, which says we are in a long-term uptrend. The 50 MA is also pointing upwards, albeit that the gradient has tapered off somewhat. Now, it will be very telling what happens over the next few months. We are currently mid to late February. This monthly candle will complete in about a week or so. If we get price down here, this will give us a topping tail on the monthly chart, which might indicate the price wants to go low. So it will be very telling how this monthly candle completes. Let's look at the weekly time frame and see if we can get any signs or indications from there. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, we've got the moving averages, the 20 MA in blue and the 50 MA in yellow, which are turning downwards. And we are hovering above the 200 MA, which is the red line, which is still pointing upwards. So you could argue that we're in a medium-term uptrend, albeit that the shorter time frame moving averages have started to move downwards. We've held this support, as we saw on the bigger time frame, and we got a topping tail here, which indicated the price wanted to go low, which it has done. I think what will be key for this this chart is whether we hold this low here over the coming days. If we do, then it could bode higher prices. We are also importantly into this gap area here. So this gap fill, this is called a gap fill. A gap was created because this chart only shows movement during normal working hours, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a gap was created in the pre-market trading. The stock jumped up. We've come down, we've now filled this gap. So there has been price action within this gap, and a gap fill, which is what this is known as, is support, which is held here. So it's hard to tell imminently, or what's happening imminently in the coming days. We need to wait and see. I would not enter a trade either long or short. I would simply sit on the sidelines and wait and see what happens. If we want the price to go higher, we would at some point need to get above these moving averages. Then the price may go sideways, build pressure, and then go higher. But from this chart, it's hard to tell. My hunch, and this is just a hunch, my hunch is that with this 200 MA, again, this is a weekly chart, so it's a strong time frame, with this 200 MA rising and us holding this support, we may go to and fro, but I imagine the bigger move will be probably to the upside. But I'd want to get more evidence of this before actually entering a trade. I would sit on the sidelines and watch how this thing pans out. Let's go to the daily chart. So we are interestingly, we hovered above the 20 MA, which started to turn upwards. We've come down below it for the last day or two, but again, if we hold this support, for us to get an indication that this thing wants to go higher, I would want to see the price jump above the 20 MA. Ideally, I would want the 50 MA to continue downwards, but then price jump above it. So if the price moves up here and congregates here, that is a good sign that this support is holding. Remember, if I go back to the monthly chart, this is a long-term support. Monthly charts are very strong. Again, notwithstanding what I mentioned earlier, we need to see how this candle at the end of February closes. So going back to the daily chart, again, I would sit on the sidelines, I'd wait and see, but if I get evidence that price moves above here and the moving averages continue to move as they are and then turn upwards with the price hovering above, then that would be an indication that this GBTC wants to move higher. That brings me to the end of my analysis.